7 hours remain for lawmakers in Albany to agree and sign off on an on-time state budget.
They have until midnight. Good government groups watching this process play out say closed-door sessions, legislative roadblocks, and the 3 men in a room model are keeping this process from being transparent.
We're keeping an eye on some of those roadblocks, including the sticking points being argued right now in the Assembly and Senate.
We have team coverage from the Capitol tonight as the clock keeps on ticking. Jack Lamson and Kimberly Howard are tracking movement right now.
We begin with Kimberly. Kimberly, bring us up to speed.
Hi, Ann. Hi, Cody. You know, the budget is made up of 12 bills, and so far, both the Assembly and the Senate, of course, have to pass all of these bills. If you take a look down here, you can see that the Senate is in session. They've only been in session just about an hour now, and they have a lot on their plate, as does the Assembly. Both chambers have passed what's known as the debt service bill. Only 3 additional bills have been printed. Those bills are the Health and Mental Hygiene Bill, the Transportation and Economic Development Bill, and the Public Protection General Government Bill, which the Assembly actually just passed in the last 20 minutes. So they are making some headway, but that still leaves 8 bills that lawmakers haven't even seen that they must vote on tonight if they want to pass the budget on time. Some lawmakers are outraged by all of this, saying they can't possibly make an informed decision. But Republican Senator Hugh Farley says even though all of the bills haven't been printed, lawmakers are still constantly being briefed.
The members, at least my members, that have been informed the entire way and been part of the process the entire way, and I'm very pleased with the new leader, John Flanagan.
Yeah, and still some major sticking points tonight, as you mentioned. One of them, the minimum wage. We know that there has been some compromise that has gone on behind closed doors in terms of phasing in that $15 an hour minimum wage over a longer period of time, at least for upstate. But at this point, anything could change. We'll continue to stay on this for you. We'll have another update for you at 5:30 and continue to brief you throughout the night. But for now, we're live at the Capitol. Kimberly Howard, CBS 6 News.
Kimberly, thanks.
Once again, as we creep closer and closer to the midnight deadline, there's always the chance Friday morning will arrive without a budget deal being reached.
So we sent our Jack Lamson to the Capitol to find out exactly what happens if the budget doesn't make it through on time. And Jack, the answer is unclear at best.
Cody, and unclear, but not necessarily bad news. Remember, last year's budget didn't actually get through until the early morning hours, and while there's plenty of confidence that they will get a deal done here tonight, the off chance or the chance that it does get even a slight delay will have little effect on you at home.
She thinks it.
As the hours pass, with lawmakers meeting in private sessions and passing bills containing little controversy, the possibility of a late budget looms larger.
The question of how long can they go without the government, without having to get a formal extension, is more subjective than anything else.
A delay of a few hours or even a day would do little practical damage to the way the state runs.
What impact does it have is really sort of a function of how late it is. So, for example, if the budget is really just sort of tumbles into tomorrow, as a practical matter, it has very little effect.
Should legislators be in session at 11:59 tonight, that's where they'll likely stay, pushing to get a deal done in the dead of night. It's a practice many we talk to are okay with and have even come to expect.
I remember the days when it went into August and September. That was a big deal. Going 24 or 36 hours over the budget deadline isn't a really big deal.
More formal extension options include an extender bill or measures of necessity, both strategies that would come from the governor's office.
It is now generally viewed that the governor, if he wanted to, could offer the legislature an 11-month, 29-day extender and tell them take it or leave it. If they vote it down, the government shuts down.
No one we talk to thinks we're at that point or even that we'll get there, but many feel legislators will be here into April 1st.
The only thing about tomorrow would be an April Fool's joke if it was on time.
Now, I spoke with someone in the governor's office just about an hour ago, and all he would say is that negotiations are ongoing. Cody and Ann, the feeling I'm getting here around the Capitol today is that as long as we have a deal done by the weekend, it'll be business as usual. In the Capitol, Jack Lamson, CBS 6 News.
Thank you, Jack. We'll just have to see. And we asked our viewers what they would prefer to see: an on-time budget with lawmakers not reading all proposed bills, or a late budget where lawmakers can look through all aspects of the proposal. Only 16% of you who answered say they'd prefer an on-time budget. 83% say they'd prefer a budget that's late, but that has been fully read. Head to our CBS 6 Facebook page to cast your vote.
We're going to go to some breaking news right now as we look live over a scene unfolding in Richmond, Virginia. That's where state police say a shooter opened fire at a bus station, injuring a civilian and at least 2 state troopers. And we just found out within the last 20 minutes, one of those troopers, according to CBS News, has passed away.
Police say the shooter has also died, and we're working to get an update on the other victims. We know the FBI and Virginia State Police are still on the scene.
We're also getting some news into our newsroom, this time closer to home, getting results from a series of water quality tests in the town of Petersburg in Rensselaer County as crews there test for the dangerous chemical PFOA. Officials say crews took dozens of samples from private homes and wells in Petersburg. They tell CBS 6 25 of them still had levels of PFOA above the regional EPA's safe exposure level. We'll, of course, keep an eye on it. Also new at 5, surface water tests are in Bennington and North Bennington, Vermont. Vermont Governor Peter Shumlin says samples showed relatively low levels of PFOA, but say some results were above what the state considers safe. The highest levels of PFOA from those surface water samples, we're told, came from the pond on the Bennington College campus. That's not far from the ChemFab plant believed to be the source of PFOA contamination. 10 samples were taken from ponds and creeks around the plant to help pinpoint exactly where that chemical came from.